So I'm going to go on. If you're ready, Chase, and you're ready, Kara, kick this off. And I think Ashley's just going to continue letting people into this talk as they log in. So it's a beautiful weekend in New Orleans, or we're leading into one, and spring has come in full force. So thank goodness when we're all sitting at home that we have some beautiful weather to go out and enjoy during this time. This is our third of the YLC Design at Home series, which we're really excited to bring to everybody a little creative inspiration and introduce you to some of the very creative leaders and entrepreneurs that are bringing beauty and design into New Orleans. And as the series has been going on, each one has been preparing tips and tricks that we can all, as young professionals, deploy in our own homes while we're spending so much time in them. So this week, I am especially thrilled that Mullin is here. We've got Chase and Kara on their team that are going to teach us a little bit about landscaping our own yards. I know, sometimes it can be intimidating to think about landscaping and where to start, but what they are going to show us is that it doesn't have to be hard or expensive, and a few thoughtful choices can really have a greener, cleaner impact on New Orleans, as well as help to continue to make our city more sustainable. So I just want to thank y'all both for being here, and I know you put a lot of work into preparing for today, and we really are thrilled. So ready to turn it over. Just take it away.
Hey, thanks, Caroline. We're really excited to be here too, and I don't really take any credit for the work Kara did. Certainly did the bulk of the work, which I really appreciate, and I'm excited to get to kind of her part of the presentation where she's going to talk about one of the trends that we've really seen, and I guess I've personally seen with friends and family, and actually started kicking around the idea of doing something at our office in our yard, but vegetable gardens, container gardens. And I think with more time on people's hands right now, in addition to just kind of this like desire to be more connected to the earth, and I think that we're going to continue to see that trend, and it's something it's kind of fun, and I guess kind of allows you to occupy time, whereas you may not have had time prior to this that you needed to occupy. But at any rate, before we get to that, I'll give a little background on myself and the company for anybody who maybe isn't familiar with it, or isn't as familiar with it as some like Caroline might be. So I'm president and CEO and founder of Mullin. Started the company 13 years ago in 2007. So we do landscaping and outdoor construction, including landscaping. We do a lot of landscape maintenance. We're about 70% commercial at this point, but I started the company really with a focus on residential, particularly residential design build. So kind of as it relates to what we're talking about today, I really have a personal affinity for design, both landscape design and some different architectural, and really any design that I think I really probably got from my mother and my grandmother. They're both really into, I guess, particularly interior design. And at any rate, I didn't really realize that I had this like passion for design until I was introduced to the landscape industry, I guess about 15 years ago. And, growing up, growing up in high school, I started doing construction in summers, and eventually that kind of matriculated into Christmas breaks. I worked for a couple of different residential contractors, family friends, and really, I enjoyed construction. I enjoyed, I guess, like the progress of it and the process of it. But I didn't really like see, for whatever reason, a career in construction. And, I was introduced, however, to the landscape industry. Long story that I won't bore everybody with today, but was introduced to the landscape industry, and something that really kind of sparked my interest, or like captured and held on to my interest, was the fact that not only is there just a really large creative aspect to it, um, there's also some really instant gratification, coupled with the fact that things kind of change and move and grow. And I think like the growth of the plants like that, I don't know, it's hard to describe it, but I had that really kind of captured my interest. And then from the business standpoint, like I thought it was pretty neat. You install something that ultimately needs to be cared for. So you kind of capture that customer for life, or at least the life of the garden. But at any rate, so I started the business, and Caroline had asked if maybe I'd give a little bit of the history of the business and kind of our young leadership, and how we came to be where we are today. Which, where we are today, we have a little bit over 100 team members. We have one location, working on a second location in Baton Rouge. We're really, on the way, I guess, on the road to fulfilling our vision of being a regional contractor. But like I said, I started the business myself. I really quickly learned that I would pigeonhole myself quickly if I try to do everything alone. And so I began hiring people, initially crew members, and delegating some of the tasks, whatever, planting shrubs and laying out the gardens, moving soil. And as I did that, I realized that, again, I'd kind of moved up the ladder one rung, but the next kind of limit to our growth was going to be the lack of any kind of management or leadership. And so pretty early in the business, I made the decision that I would try to bring on some kind of management, I guess we'll say at first, like middle management type team members. And as we continued to grow, it was probably about 4 years ago, again, I realized that despite the fact that we had a pretty extensive like middle management team and just incredible people, great, really smart people, to be really transparent with everybody on this call or whatever, like I realized again that I was kind of the one holding back the company by being like the leader. And I realized that we needed to have a leadership team. And in appointing that leadership team, one of the things I think that we realized as a group is that not only do we need to lead the company as a team, not just Chase Mullin anymore, but we also need to be looking at kind of our next generation of leadership. I'm really proud to have Kara on this call, because Kara, like, really, she embodies that. She's a year out of school at LSU, and she's really young, but I think when I turn this over to her, everybody here, I imagine, will see some of those just leadership qualities come across, and the way she communicates, and just her attention to detail in the presentation, and the passion that she has for landscaping and landscape architecture. And like most businesses today, I think one of the keys to success is the ability to like find, attract, hire, and then develop these young leaders so that the company can continue to grow and develop. And like I said, as we try to become a regional contractor, as we, I guess, like trudge along the road to becoming that, and fulfilling our vision as being recognized as the premier landscape company in our region, we have to do that. I can't do all that, and our leadership team can't, but continuing to build these leaders and appoint other ones and grow people within the company, like, not only does that benefit the company, but to me, like, it's kind of that same process that initially kind of grabbed my attention with landscaping. It's the same thing. It's not a plant, though, it's a person, and it's just kind of giving back to the people. And again, we're, companies benefiting from it as well. So as I talk about that too, like a huge part of what makes Mullin who we are is, the lasting impact that we try to create, both through the gardens that we build, or the spaces, through the people that we have and their development, through the experiences that we give our clients, and also community. Community has been huge to us. And again, we've been really fortunate to be successful in our growth, and just, year over year as a business. And, I'm personally humbled, and I think I can speak for the entire company. We're all humbled by the fact that we have the ability to give back and really be good stewards and, members of the community in the greater New Orleans area. And, we do everything, I guess, like everything that we can, so to speak, to kind of pay it forward and with our community. And then, I'll talk a bit in a second. I'll jump into a slideshow that Kara, who did the work, put together. But I'll kind of talk a bit about the work that we do. And, I believe that we cater to value-driven clients. And oftentimes, more often than not, I think a value-driven client, they do appreciate, I guess, like quality or honesty, efficiency and pricing, but also ultimate value in the product that's offered. And that's something that we've been big on the entire time, the entire history of the company, from the time it was me alone to where we are today, and, where we hope to go in 5, 10, and 20 years. Is we strive to offer top-notch design. Our landscape architects, they put a lot of time, thought, and effort into making sure that the things that we do are going to work long-term and are buildable, and, really kind of communicate the message that the client's trying to send, whether it's a backyard or a shopping center or a school, whatever it might be. And also the construction methods that we use. So anyway, let me see if I can share this screen, and I'll jump into our presentation, but I'm disabled from screen sharing. Let's try again. Still disabled. Maybe I won't share the presentation yet. Ashley, can you share the presentation, or can you give me the ability to share share it?
There we go. Is that working?
No, yeah, I'm disabled. Okay, so as we said, we're, Kara and I are both with Mullin. It's gonna be a little awkward, so I'm gonna have to ask Ashley to go to the next slide. But anyway, if you want to jump to the next slide, Ashley. So this is an overhead shot of Oak Alley, a job that we just completed. So Oak Alley, as Google says, is the most iconic, and I believe the most visited plantation on Plantation Row in Louisiana. It's pretty incredible. The 2 gardens that we did on each side of the plantation are recreations of historic gardens. We did this, we actually did not do the design here. We did it in a partnership with Carbo Landscape Architects out of Baton Rouge. It's pretty incredible. Oak Alley with the coronavirus is closed, but I'd encourage everybody to visit when they reopen. You can see kind of on the right side of the picture, it's a pretty massive pergola made with masonry columns, and it was a neat project. We'll go to the next slide. So again, on the lasting impact standpoint, and here we work with Paul Mazzano as the general contractor, and Reed Hildebrand as the landscape architects, a firm out of Boston. But again, we didn't design, although we do offer some pretty creative design input more often than not on these commercial projects, just due to our design background. But, as I said, like tying into a lasting impact, this is the sculpture garden expansion at the Museum of Art. I've been here a number of times with my kids and my parents, and I'm just really neat to build something that's going to be used for so long in the community. Jump next. So this is the Ace Hotel. I think that with the kind of the young or the age bracket of the group on this call, I figured we had to put it on here. I'm sure probably most of you are familiar with the Ace Hotel, but we did the rooftop and all the street plantings at the Ace Hotel with Spackman Mossop Michaels being the landscape architect, Paul Mazzano being the contractor. Next, sorry. And this is another Spackman Mossop Michaels project. This is the standard, pretty cool rooftop garden. And so one thing that I think that Spackman did a great job of, along with the developer domain companies, my understanding is that they were trying to kind of recreate the feeling of a New York City rooftop garden with a lot of perennials and, colorful colorful flowering plants. And they did. You can see it's kind of a little bit loose and not like a real tight or formal planting. Go to the next slide. So this is a project that's actually designed by us. This is a residential project. If you look, obviously there's a plan, which is just kind of the schematic plan in the upper left-hand corner. And of course, there's a lot more sheets to the set of plans that we did to build something like this, but it's a pretty large scale space, and it kind of showcases a lot of the elements that we're capable of building. But, you know, I may have mentioned or may not have mentioned the majority of the residential projects that we do at this point incorporate some type of outdoor living, whether it's swimming pool, patio, fireplace. And this one, you can obviously see the pool as it graduates into the large lawn area. It's pretty neat compilation, I think, of what we're capable of doing. Jump to the next slide, please. So this is a much smaller space, but still at the same time, a space that, again, captures a lot of elements that we're capable of doing. I think the last project and this one both have artificial turf, which is becoming more and more popular. This one, actually, the entire lawn area is artificial turf, but kind of a neat mid-century modern project in Lakewood South. Jump to the next. So this is, I believe, on the North Shore, but again, gathering space, fireplace, swimming pool. You know, I think we'll see, and we expect to see. I'm kind of gathering this information from a lot of calls with peers in the industry in other markets, but we really expect to see a lot more demand for outdoor living environments with the whole coronavirus. Stay at home and that we're having in most states. Obviously in our state, I think that people are really learning. I know my wife, especially, who's at home with our two kids, people are really starting to understand the value of their outdoor space and how it really, you know, it adds to the square footage, right? You might have a 3,000 or 4,000 square foot home, and, you know, if you have a 5 or 6, 8,000 square foot backyard, big or small or whatever, but, you know, you can really capture a lot more usable space on your property. You know, via some type of finished outdoor living environment, whether it's as elaborate as this with a, you know, pool and a fireplace, or it's something as simple as a patio or a small garden, or like Kara's going to do, you know, vegetable boxes. Jump to the next slide. And this is pretty neat, again, appealing to the young crowd. This is a house in Old Metairie that's very usable backyard as we talk about, you know, outdoor living environments. There's a lot of features and elements here. Obviously, it'd be easy to spend some time back here. You can't really see the outdoor kitchen and bar in the background, but might not be able to have all your friends over right now, but it'd still be a nice place to be. Go to the next slide. And then, so same deal as we kind of continue on our theme, outdoor living environments and landscaping. There's a difference. The project that we did not, this project, last one we did not design, this project we did. This is kind of, a client was looking for a California look uptown. It's still the front kind of fits in the uptown neighborhood, I guess fits as well as we could make it, but it certainly gives that kind of California Palm Springs vibe. Jump to the next slide. All right, and so like I said, we're really proud of our involvement with the community. The bottom right, where everyone's closer together, is pre-coronavirus. And then these other two pictures, one's at Children's Hospital and the other one's at West Jefferson. We're doing a theme of Feed the Front Lines Friday. We've so far we've been feeding the front lines with our partners at LCMC, like I said, at Children's and West Jeff in these pictures. We're really just, you know, trying to do our part. I see Candace sending a message. We love you too, Candace, in Children's Hospital. But, you know, we're trying to do whatever we can. We're really fortunate to be open. We're an essential service, so we're still able to produce some work. Certainly not producing the amount of work, I guess, that we would like to be, you know, due to some of the additional PPE and other cleaning procedures and things of that nature. But regardless of that, we're fortunate, blessed, and thankful to be able to work. And so again, like while we're working and doing what we do, like part of what we do is we give back and we help other people, and we pay it forward, and we really appreciate what they're doing. And it's a small thing for us to be able to give a little bit of food, and also to help some of our restaurant partners too. I think the two restaurants in these pictures were Zia and Coppervine, both clients of ours. I think that's our last slide. So with that, I'll wrap my part up and turn over to the more fun part, which is Kara and her presentation on creating vegetable gardens. So thank you.
Okay, so over the past couple weekends, I've been working on creating my first do-it-yourself raised garden bed. So I'm going to show you guys a little tutorial I made on YouTube of how to do that. And I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll take some questions after. So let me set it up. All right. Great. Okay. So today I'm going to teach you how to germinate seeds for your edible garden from home. The first thing you're going to do is prepare your supplies and clean your space. So always start with washing your hands, sing happy birthday 20 seconds, and then prepare your station. So wipe everything down and then get a water, preferably in a spray bottle. This was actually leftover hair care that I just cleaned and made a spray bottle with. And then a knife. This is actually a food scrap of a poblano pepper from a few nights ago, jalapeno pepper seeds and basil seeds from your local grocery store, 20 cents each, so cheap. And 3 Ziplocs. You want a Ziploc per seed type, as well as 3 paper towels, because I have 3 seed types here. So now we're going to prep our seeds for germination. I went ahead and pulled them out of the package in poblano pepper. All you do is you can just use your clean hands and place them right in front. And then we're going to dampen the paper towels. You just want to get it dampened up so that the seeds stick. So I'm going to place my seeds on the paper towel. Ooh, a little slimy. Spray the seeds. And then I'm just going to fold over the paper towel. Just like so. And then I'm going to dampen it on both sides. And then I'm going to place in the labeled Ziploc the poblano pepper seeds, just so you keep track of what is what. Makes everything easier in the long run. And you want to keep some air in your Ziploc so that the seeds have room to grow and breathe. Nice and tight. And then I'm going to place it in a sunny place for 6 to 7 days. Now that it has been a week, we are going to plant our seeds into biodegradable planters. You can get these at your local Lowe's or Home Depot or some local plant nurseries. You will also need some really airy topsoil. I wouldn't recommend getting soil from your yard just because it might be too compacted for this. All right, so we're going to start by filling up the planter with soil. Just like that. I know it's messy, but it works. All right. So it looks like this. This is going to be our poblano pepper. So I labeled it PP. On our dirt in our poblano pepper planter, we're going to use our finger and poke an inch hole. And you can just guesstimate. I promise the plants won't know. And then you're going to take 2 seeds and place them in the hole. You want to do 2 just in case one of them doesn't sprout. And sometimes you can do 3, but I just do 2 and it usually works. Almost done. Right. Now, it should look like this. And then go ahead and take another little scoop of topsoil and put it on top. Just like so. And peppers are pretty fast growing, so you should expect to see sprouts in the next few weeks. And once you see sprouts, that's when you can transplant them to your planter. And you can keep them outdoors, but I recommend keeping them on a windowsill if you have the space, just in case it rains really heavy, so it doesn't ruin your plant. All right, and now give it a little water.
All right, so for the bed, we got 2 2x12s that are 8 feet long and 1 4x4 that's 8 feet long.
We just cut 2 8-foot 2x12-inch boards in half to make the sides for our planter bed. Then I had my brother cut 4 14-inch 4x4s to stabilize the corners of the bed. You'll see soon. Then, as the base of the bed, I'm going to lay cardboard down. Cardboard is great because it's biodegradable and it's a weed preventer and it's also permeable, so water can drain through to the bottom, which is very important. Right, it's soil time. As you can tell, we already have our rocks laid down for drainage and our cardboard base for weed control and drainage as well. Now it's time to lay our soil down. First, I'm going to lay some organic raised bed soil. You can get it at your local Home Depot, whatever. And then I'm going to lay the Miracle Grow raised bed soil. Then on top of that, I got just 1 bag of organic compost. This one is cow manure. It helps plants flourish even though it smells. And then on top of that, we're going to put 2 bags of topsoil. We are going to make 3 rows because we have 3 different types of seeds. So what I do is I just use my hands and I just get in here and make a little row so I know where I'm sowing the plants. And peppers need to be planted about 1 foot apart from each other. And it's time to plant our peppers, basil, and pollinators. I just picked up some lavender because it's great to introduce pollinators to a raised garden bed, especially if you put edible plants in there, because it attracts bees and appropriate wildlife to pollinate your plants. Water time. Using an adjustable hose nozzle, I'm going to deeply water our freshly planted peppers, basil, and lavender. So I'm going to turn it on, and it's raining. Just make sure that they get pretty soaked. This is my first time making a raised garden bed. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. Thanks.
Okay. All right, how do I get out of here? Okay. I hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions, I'm here to try to answer them to the best of my ability.
Hey, Kara, it's Ashley. Could you explain why you use the varying layers of soils that you did in your garden?
Yes, so you want to use multiple types of soil depending on what you're planting. And with vegetable gardens, you need to have a very organic, airy, non-compacted soil. And the great thing about raised garden beds is that you can control the soil that's in there. So why not put the best? If you don't have access to soil, you can use your yard soil, but I would highly recommend using shredded leaves as a top mulch to incorporate into your soil if you are going to use your at-home soil. But since I have access to Mullin, I have access to great soil. So I went ahead and used the organic raised bed soil and topsoil and compost. You really want to include compost into your soil because that organic matter really helps the plants grow and flourish. If you just put some type of sandy, compacted, non-aerated soil, the water wouldn't drain through to the bottom and you would probably experience root rot and your plants would never actually grow. I hope I kind of answered that out of order, but.
That was great. Kara, we have a question in the chat that says, how often should they be watered?
So it depends. That's in a really sunny location of my parents' backyard. And so I would recommend just checking them out every day. If the leaves are burning up, you can tell, but they need about 1 inch of water a week, peppers. which isn't a lot compared to other vegetables, but I went ahead and planted very, very simple plants because it's actually my first edible garden. But from all the research I've done, just give it a good like water, especially in Louisiana, every other day. And make sure you're using a mister because you want it to be like a soft rain. You don't want to just put your hot hose water on it. If you don't have a hose head, use your finger to spray it out so it doesn't kill your little baby sprouts that'll pop up.
Great advice. I know I've certainly blasted a pot before and dirt's gone everywhere.
Exactly. Like there were many, I had to do that water video a couple times. I'll just say.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next question is, how long before we can pick the vegetables out?
Okay, so that depends. So for peppers, it'll take, from my research, it'll take about 70 days. And on the backet of any seed packet you get, it'll tell you. Because of the many different types of species of peppers, you just have to check it out yourself. So in about 50 days, you can check it out and you'll see peppers and if they are the appropriate color. So I planted poblano, and I know that poblano peppers are about 4 to 5 inches long. And I know they're supposed to be a dark green color. So when they look, about that size, go ahead and pull it off and try it. I mean, you'll be able to tell when you taste it if it is not ripe.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that takes patience, but it is so rewarding to watch your landscape grow. You'll go back in 2 years and be like, oh my gosh, I'm still growing peppers off that pepper plant I planted 2 years ago.
And then what is the difference between fertilizer and topsoil?
So fertilizer, this is a question that Chase might be able to answer a little bit better than me, but topsoil is not the same thing as fertilizer. Fertilizer has certain like nutrients, whether it be like nitrogen, that specific plants need to do well. Some plants need iron, some plants need nitrogen, and fertilizer has that in there. Whereas topsoil is just an airy, very organic, loose soil. So there's usually not many nutrients in it that are like out of ordinary than normal dirt you would pick up.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've definitely been wondering.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think Kara answered the question pretty well. Maybe the simplest way to describe it. So topsoil is soil, right? Like a planting medium, and fertilizer is an additive.
Okay.
So, fertilizer is an additive to help plants grow. And I was gonna jump in and chime in if nobody asked this, because it's a question I get asked pretty regularly, particularly now in regard to vegetable gardens. And admittedly, I'm not a vegetable expert, but might be what types of vegetables to plant or herbs. And I don't want to put Kara on the spot and ask it in the chat, but the answer I would give would be really whatever like your local nursery has or garden center has. I typically refer people to Perinos, not that I have any affinity for them against anyone else. I just know that they tend to have a lot of different products, and their products are nice. But if you go to the garden center, ask what they have, and really allow the person that works there to help you choose. There's so many different types and varieties. Like it's really hard to narrow it down, to a few different recommendations. So again, go to your local garden center and ask them for their recommendation. Maybe describe your space a bit to them, and they'll really be able to point you in the right direction if it's something you're doing at home.
Yeah, we certainly want to be supporting our local businesses right now.
definitely.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? We've got the experts here. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I especially want to thank Chase and Kara for putting that excellent video together. I know she has uploaded those to YouTube and given us some permission to share those with everyone. So be on the lookout. Ashley will be sending those out. I know I am both now craving peppers and can't wait to get started with my own vegetable garden, and I hope everyone feels the same. I hope you have a great weekend and that you'll join us next week. Same time, Friday, we will have Claire Elizabeth of Claire Elizabeth Gallery down in the quarter, who is going to teach us all about starting your own art collection and how to curate that and hang it. So the inside of your home can look as beautiful as the outside. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.